What's going on, Reapers? So today we're gonna get into the fat loss optimization on how to lift and eat properly to optimize fat loss. So to start off with, number one, fat loss. Your number one thing is, again, starting off, is your body type and your fat loss optimization. If you're an ectomorph, fat loss optimization should not be on your scale at all, even if you're trying to get abs. There's a misconception thinking that if you are skinny fat, the first thing you need to do is go on a cut. No, the first thing you need to do is actually somewhat bulk, because what happens is that you don't have the muscle definition already to sustain abs and to also have the gains that you want to have. So you want to take some time to just kind of figure out where you are in your body, and then also, if you're skinny fat, you're also going to have more of an opportunity to burn fat and build muscle, because you're normally starting out from a beginner standpoint. And a beginner standpoint is anybody who is in their first 6 to 8 months training. After that, you start to go into the intermediate aspect of it. I really don't consider anybody an advanced lifter until they've lifted over a year and a half, 2 years, and that's just because you've already seen your body's not its highest potential, but close to its highest potential. And then you've also seen what works for you, what doesn't work. You know your body very well. You understand what it takes to burn fat. You understand what it takes to build muscle. And you have the fullest understanding of what you are and how you grow. So with fat loss optimization, after you figure out what you are, this is mainly for mesomorphs and endomorphs, then you want to figure out, well, what kind of workouts work for me. So off gate, everyone's going to say cardio is your best friend when it comes to fat loss. Cardio can be a very, very useful tool, but you do not want to overdo it. Rule of thumb, as always, everything's good in moderation. So you don't want to make it to where you're trying to run, and then all of a sudden you just looked at it and now you've been doing cardio an hour and a half a day. What's going to happen is you're going to build way too much cortisol. You know, I work at the shipyard and I walk a lot. Normally, on a busy day, it's not uncommon for me to leave work with 13,000 steps in one day. And this is over a consistent basis, because I'm there 8 to 10 hours a day, depending on if I'm doing overtime or not. And that's for a lot of people, but there's a whole lot of people out of shape. And people all the time, they'll say, oh, you know, my body's getting used to it. I don't know why I'm gaining so much weight. You know, I walk so much. And the reason being is that if you're walking a lot at work, and then you're also snacking on some of the vending machine snacks, shooting your insulin up ridiculously high. And then on top of that, all that cortisol is being built from you doing so much cardio, because a lot of people don't know, walking is almost just as beneficial as jogging. It's just slower. It takes a bit longer. But you're burning around the same amount of calories. There's really not a differential between the two unless you're doing sprints. People have a hard time losing weight and they end up gaining weight a lot. So you want to be sure that you're not doing way too much cardio. And then also, you don't want to do just strictly lifting. Because with the cardio, the beautiful thing about cardio is that cardio has more benefits to it than just fat loss. We'll have a separate video on cardio. But if you're just lifting by itself, you actually have more of a chance of burning fat than you would if you were just doing cardio. However, if you're an endomorph especially, you want to really optimize how much you can eat and how much leeway you can give yourself. So for me, for example,
told that nigga he could eat the taco with motherfucking.
My calorie count, as far as what I cut on, is normally anywhere from 1,900 calories, dropping all the way back to 1,600 calories. So if I'm trying to cut back my calories, if I'm just lifting, then that doesn't give me much leeway in between. If, let's say, like you have, for a very, very intense lifting session, and my idea of a very intense lifting session is you're hitting heavy, 4 to 8 reps, 5 sets, different workouts focusing on pushing or pulling or legs, and you've been going at it for at the very, very least 1 hour. You don't want to go over 2 hours. Some people get in the gym talking about they lifted for 2.5, 3 hours, and they really just exacerbate themselves. But anywhere from 1 hour to 2 hours of lifting, right? But you, at the most, you'll probably burn about 800 to 900 calories. That's at the very, very most. ridiculous session if you burn that many calories lifting weights. More often speaking, you're probably going to burn about 600 to 700 calories. However, if I throw some very, not slow pace, but decent pace cardio in there at the end of my workout, 15 to 20 minutes, then all of a sudden it goes from 600 to possibly 700 to 800, and that can make a huge difference as far as recovery time, because it helps with your recovery, and also what you're able to eat. So if you have a weak moment that day or that week, a lot of times your workouts could make up for it. And that's why a lot of times I'll tell you, diet is the most important thing. It's gonna speed up how fast it goes and how much you burn. When you have your opportunity to get your training schedule together, as far as fat loss, you wanna make it about 80-20 lifting and cardio. You don't wanna do too much cardio. You wanna make sure that you're lifting a lot. And the lifting is going to help out, because the more muscle you build, it takes a lot of calories for you to build muscle. You see a lot of these bodybuilders, there's endomorphs who still eat a lot. I eat a good amount, but that's because it has to maintain the muscle that I've built as I started to train. So you need to make sure that you're trying to build muscle, because that's going to help you burn that fat. It's going to raise up how many calories you need. And then also, you're taking in more proteins, which is going to help you out, because the foods that get people in trouble when it comes to fat loss are foods that are super high in carbs and super high in fats. And that tends to be the sweets, the fried foods, and the peanut butter and things like that. And it's not as conducive as far as helping you out, because one, it's going to shoot up your insulin levels, and two, they're not going to be as conducive to building muscle, because you're not getting that same amount of protein. So maintaining your muscle is number one on your list when you're trying to do fat loss optimization. Be very, very patient. So if you are somebody who can't train too much right now, if you're in the position that I am, I can only train but so much during the week. School, work, this, and then on top of that, I also do Postmates if I need a little extra money on the side. So my schedule is jam-packed. I can only get about 3 sessions a week. But if I was doing 5 like I used to, my weight loss and everything that's come into, I probably would have lost that 30 or 20 pounds a lot faster and a lot quicker of a rate, and been a bit more muscular had I been able to do it. But you got to work with your own schedule, so your diet is very, very key to what you're trying to do. If you're not patient about your fat loss and you can't go to the gym too much, you're going to just end up just giving up, because your plateau is going to be very, very real starting out. Normally, the way I say it, there's going to be a plateau in the early stages of your diet, and then there's going to be a plateau as you start to get to your potential, your highest potential. And plateaus can last anywhere from a month to 3 months to, it's possible to hit a plateau for up to a year. Sometimes you just still me. What my rule of thumb is, when you think that you've hit your prime, you want to wait about 6 to 7 months of a plateau to think that you may have hit your prime. But if you still haven't really gained that much muscle, you haven't seen at least a 30 to 40% increase in your lifting, and you have not gotten any leaner, then more than likely you haven't hit your prime yet. We'll have a whole video on your muscle and fat loss prime as far as your goals go. So guys, this was the fat loss optimization. This one was a bit shorter than the muscle optimization, because having ideas of diets and stuff like that is a bit more crucial to understanding. That's why the diet series is more subjugated to handling the fat loss optimization. One other thing, if you are endomorph or mesomorph, we're going to have a whole series dedicated to how you guys can burn fat and possibly build muscle at the same time, especially beginners. Alright guys, Reaper Training. Catch y'all later. Like, comment, subscribe. We don't chase dreams, we hunt goals.